Have you ever reached a point in life where you suddenly realize the people you once counted on, your children, your siblings, maybe even close friends, aren't always there when you need them most? It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they've turned their backs on you. Life just changes. Everyone's busy, scattered, or dealing with their own challenges. And one day, you find yourself sitting quietly in your kitchen or lying in bed at night and you think, I'm more alone than I ever expected to be. Now, that moment can feel heavy, like a wave you didn't see coming. But here's something few people talk about. That moment, that realization, can actually be the beginning of something powerful. Because as we age, we're not meant to just drift quietly into the background, waiting on others to fill in the gaps. We're meant to build a new kind of strength, one that doesn't rely on who visits, who calls, or who remembers. It starts with understanding the things we can rely on fully, consistently, and without guilt. And the very first one is our body. When you're in your 70s or beyond, being able to move freely on your own terms isn't just about health. It's about dignity. It's about waking up in the morning and not needing anyone to help you out of bed. It's being able to cook a simple meal when you feel like it, go outside and breathe in the crisp morning air, walk to the mailbox without hesitation. These small acts, getting up, walking, reaching, bending, are the foundation of freedom. And that freedom gives you something even deeper: emotional peace. I once met a man named Harold in a park in Florida. He was 78 and walked with a cane, slowly but with pride. Every morning, rain or shine, he did his laps. When I asked him why he was so committed, he looked me in the eye and said something I never forgot. He said the moment he stopped walking would be the moment he started waiting for someone to help, waiting for a ride, waiting for someone to do things for him. And he didn't want to wait. He wanted to live. His mobility wasn't perfect, but it was his. And that gave him something no family member could hand over: independence. Now the truth is, staying mobile doesn't mean running marathons or joining a gym. It means doing what you can to protect your strength. Stretching gently in the morning, walking a little more than you did yesterday, using a light resistance band a few minutes a day to keep your muscles awake. These aren't big changes, but they add up. Because when you can trust your body, you trust yourself. You go out more, you say yes more, you stop shrinking your world. And that's what aging should be: expanding your courage, not your fears. The next form of support has nothing to do with your muscles, but everything to do with peace of mind. Financial simplicity. At this stage in life, peace doesn't come from how many dollars are in your account. It comes from knowing exactly what you need and how to live within your means without fear or confusion. So many seniors are weighed down not by poverty, but by financial clutter. Multiple credit cards, subscriptions they forgot about, bills they don't understand, insurance paperwork that just sits unopened on the kitchen counter. And all of that creates noise in the mind. I remember my neighbor Lorraine. She's 74 now, a widow who used to work as a librarian. After her husband passed, she was overwhelmed. Paperwork everywhere, bills she didn't recognize, money going out but she didn't know where. She finally sat down with a counselor and made some tough, simple choices. She downsized her home, cut out every subscription she didn't use, combined her bank accounts, and even kept a little savings jar labeled Freedom Fund. Just $10 here and there. But that little jar reminded her, she's in charge now. Not her kids. Not the companies sending her bills. Her. And the beauty of this kind of simplicity is that it makes you more emotionally stable. You sleep better. You stop dreading the mailbox. You no longer need to call your son every time a confusing statement comes in. You become your own point of contact. When you know exactly what's coming in and exactly what's going out, you carry yourself differently. You walk into the grocery store without fear. You open your emails with confidence. That's real power. Not flashy, not dramatic, but quiet and unshakable. The third thing, and perhaps the most overlooked form of daily support, is your health routine. Not the kind that's all about big goals or expensive supplements, but the little things you do every single day that tell your body and your mind you still matter. You still deserve care. A consistent routine, even if it's just a 5-minute stretch, drinking enough water, taking your medication at the same time each day, or walking around the block after breakfast. Build something no one can give you: rhythm. There's something calming about rhythm. It removes the question of should I do this today? You just do it. That predictability gives you a sense of control, even when the rest of life feels uncertain. I know a man named Frank, a former electrician, now 81. Every morning, he boils water for green tea, does his chair stretches for 15 minutes, takes his meds, then walks around his block for half an hour. When I asked him why he sticks to it even when it's raining or he's tired, he smiled and said, "It's not about exercise. It's about reminding himself each day that he's still here, still strong, still worth the effort." The beauty of a routine like that is not perfection, it's consistency. Some days, you'll do the full routine. Other days, maybe just one part. But even when you feel slow or unmotivated, you have a guide. You don't have to think your way through the fog. Your body already knows where to go because it's been there before. That's how you reduce falls, avoid skipped medications, stay grounded. A good routine becomes like a safety net. It catches you when your energy dips and lifts you back into motion. But as important as our bodies and finances and routines are, there's something else that lies even deeper: emotional resilience. Because the truth is, even if you move well and your bills are paid, life still hurts sometimes. Loneliness creeps in. Loss visits without warning. Children drift. Friends pass away. And if you don't have a strong emotional core, those moments can break you. Emotional resilience isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about allowing yourself to feel deeply, but not be destroyed by it. I met Eileen a few years ago. She's 77, lost her husband 5 years ago, and lives alone. I once asked her what helps her get through the hard days. She said each night, she lights a small candle, not for religious reasons, but to remind herself that she made it through another day. Some nights she cries. Others, she watches something that makes her laugh. But that candle is her way of saying, "I'm still here. I still matter." That is resilience. Not running from sorrow, but letting it pass through you like a wave. Not denying the pain, but refusing to let it take root in you. Emotional strength means when your son forgets to call, you don't crumble. When you can't do what you used to, you don't feel useless. You feel human. You feel whole, even in grief. And when you face the next challenge, you face it with a steadier heart. What makes emotional resilience so powerful is that it rewires your thinking. It slows your reactions. It builds a quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you'll find a way through. It's a kind of support that doesn't rely on anyone else. And the best part? It can be practiced. Writing in a notebook, taking a short walk in nature, putting on music you love, speaking kindly to yourself. These small actions, done often, shape the way you see yourself. And when your view of yourself is strong, the world's noise doesn't shake you so easily. There's another kind of strength that doesn't come from your muscles or your emotions, but from the kind of person you choose to be when no one else is looking. And that's your personal code of values. After 70, when many roles start to fade, the parent, the employee, the caregiver, you're left with a deeper question. Who am I really? That's where your values come in. They become your compass when the map changes. They anchor you when the tides shift. And the beautiful thing is, they don't require anyone's approval. Your code might be simple. Maybe it's being honest, even when it's hard. Maybe it's staying kind, even when others are not. Maybe it's something as quiet as not wasting food, or returning what you borrow, or forgiving quickly so your heart stays light. I once met a man named Howard in his early 80s. He told me he lived by 5 personal rules, and they guided him every day. They weren't dramatic, but they were sacred to him. And you could feel it in the way he carried himself, calm, clear, and content. When you live by your own code, your days feel less chaotic. You stop chasing validation. You stop feeling unsettled when others don't agree with you. Because you're no longer living to meet someone else's standard. You're living to meet your own. That's not just maturity, it's peace. And that peace, the kind that comes from knowing you did what felt right to you, is one of the most powerful forms of support you can have. It's the light you carry inside that doesn't flicker when the world outside gets stormy. Another thing we often forget is how deeply we all need purpose, especially as we grow older. Purpose isn't just for the young or the busy. In fact, it might matter more after retirement, after the kids are grown, after the career is behind you. Because without it, the days can start to feel like they're just passing, instead of adding up to something meaningful. Purpose doesn't have to be big. You don't need to start a foundation or write a book. It can be as small and beautiful as growing tomatoes on your balcony, feeding the birds every morning, teaching your neighbor's grandson how to fix a bike, or writing letters to a friend you haven't seen in years. It's about having something that makes you feel useful, not to the world, but to yourself. It gives you a reason to get out of bed that isn't based on someone else's needs. There was a woman I met at a community center once. Her name was Carmen, and she had just turned 76. Every Tuesday, she came in to teach a small knitting class, 3 or 4 people, nothing fancy. But she told me that class saved her life. It gave her a reason to get dressed, to leave the house, to feel needed again. And in giving to others, she rebuilt something in herself. That's the power of purpose. It fills in the quiet spaces with meaning. It tells you, you're not done yet. The final thing, and perhaps the most underestimated source of strength, is a supportive social circle. And no, this doesn't mean a big group of friends or weekly family dinners. It simply means having 1 or 2 people you can truly connect with. Maybe the neighbor who smiles and waves each morning. Maybe it's someone you walk with once a week. Maybe it's a friend you speak to on the phone every Sunday. These small, steady relationships become lifelines. After a certain age, it's tempting to retreat, especially when people you love start to leave, whether by distance, by drifting, or by death. But isolation can quietly damage the soul. We're not meant to live without touch points. A simple cup of tea shared with someone who listens can do more for your heart than any medication. A 10-minute phone call with someone who truly hears you can lift your mood for the entire day. I once spoke with an older man named Dennis who lives alone. His children moved out of state years ago, and most of his siblings had passed on. But every week, he met with 2 other retirees at a diner just down the road. They didn't talk about anything profound, just life, weather, jokes, old stories. But Dennis said those breakfasts were the glue that held his week together. They reminded him that he was still part of something, still seen, still connected. And connection, even in its simplest form, protects your mental health. It lowers anxiety. It reduces the risk of depression. It keeps your mind sharper, your mood lighter, and your heart more open. These aren't luxuries. They're necessities. So even if you don't have close family nearby, that doesn't mean you have to go through life alone. You can build new bonds slowly, gently, and in your own way. Now, when we take all of this together, mobility, financial clarity, daily health habits, emotional resilience, personal values, purpose, and connection, we start to see a new kind of support system. One that doesn't depend on who picks up the phone or shows up at the holidays. One that lives inside of you and around you in small, intentional ways. It's the kind of support that doesn't disappear when people do. It stays. It grows. It strengthens with time. You see, aging doesn't have to mean losing everything. It can mean choosing better. Choosing the kind of peace that isn't built on what others give you, but on what you give yourself. Choosing to invest in the quiet, steady practices that keep your mind clear, your heart full, and your body moving. Choosing to be your own source of strength, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. And maybe the most liberating truth of all is this. When you can stand strong on your own, you no longer feel abandoned. You feel empowered. You don't wait around hoping someone will rescue you from the quiet. You fill the quiet with your own rhythm, your own light, your own voice. You become your own anchor. And that's a kind of peace no one can take from you. So take a breath and ask yourself gently, which of these 7 supports do I already have? Which one could I strengthen? Just a little, starting today. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission. Start small. A short walk, a canceled subscription, a phone call, a journal entry, a little purpose, a new habit. one tiny change at a time. Because big changes in life rarely start with fireworks. They begin with a quiet decision made in the privacy of your own heart. And if this video has reminded you of your own strength, of your own worth, I hope you'll carry that feeling with you, not just today, but into every quiet morning and every long evening. Because this stage of life, despite what the world says, is not a slow fade. It's a new chapter, a wiser one, and you get to write it your way. Thank you for spending this time with us. And if even one of these 7 ideas spoke to your heart, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every word, and your voice matters. You never know who you might inspire just by speaking your truth.